Alrighty, so welcome back to Path of the Barbell. This is my prediction video for Group 2 of the 2021 World's Strongest Man Heats. So for this group, it's a tricky one, but we have three very clear top dogs. So for this group, we have Mark Felix, Johnny Hansen, Trey Mitchell, Evan Singleton, and Tom Stoltman. So I'm just going to say right off the bat, this is a deadlift and train pull group. I think that gives Tom a massive advantage. Evan Singleton and Trey Mitchell, they're almost on Tom's level. You know, they're not quite there in my opinion, but if they had the right events, like if there was a squad in there, I could see Trey beating Tom in this group, even though Tom is still a phenomenal squatter. We saw that when he hit 320 kg for 10 reps in training the other day. But I still think Trey would beat him. That being said, it's deadlift and it's train pull. And with a guy like Tom, I think he's built for both events, and I think it's going to give him a huge advantage. So I see Tom placing first place. Now, Mark Felix and Johnny Hansen, no disrespect to those guys, but I don't see them as a realistic threat to make it into the finals. And that's just because Trey Mitchell and Evan Singleton are both so, they're incredible. They're really, really great talent, younger talent rising up through the sport. So I think it's pretty clear number 2 and number 3 in whichever order are going to be Evan Singleton and Trey Mitchell. Now I've heard talk online, people talking about Evan Singleton beating Tom in this group. And if that were to happen, we would have the greatest stone eliminator of all time because we'd see Tom and Trey going at it, who are arguably, well, we know Tom's the best, but Trey is either the second or third best. The top 3 in the world right now on stones are Tom Stoltman, Brian Shaw, and Trey Mitchell. Brian beat Trey Mitchell in the Atlas Stone run at the Shaw Classic in 2020. So you could argue Brian is a little better than Trey at stones, but they're very, very, very similar. So if we got to see Trey and Tom go at it on Stone Eliminator, that would just be something else. So if Evan can win the group, I would say it'd be Evan and Tom. That being said, just because of these events, train, pull, and deadlift, I have a hard time seeing it. I think Tom is a better deadlifter than Evan, and I think he's probably a better vehicle puller, though I could be wrong on that. But basically, Tom's probably going to win it. So where does that leave us if it is Evan and Trey? Well, I think it's pretty obvious that Trey's the better stone lifter. So even if Evan blitzes through the stones and makes it to that last one, we saw what happened in 2019 with the last guy who had to go up against Trey on stones, and it did not happen. Sorry, Novikov. But yeah, Trey's the kind of guy who can go probably 10 reps with 200 kg. I know that sounds crazy, but I think when your adrenaline is pumping and you're in that competition mode, I could honestly see him getting up there. I could see easily 5, probably 8 realistically, maybe 10 if he needed to. And there's nobody besides Brian and Tom who could match him on that sort of thing. So in my opinion, we're looking at Tom and Trey. That being said, if Evan were to win, which I suppose is possible because we did see Tom lose his group last year, granted that was against Novikov. If Evan were to win, then it would be Evan and Tom in my opinion. I've heard some people saying if it were Trey and Tom in the stone off, that they would actually give it to Trey because it is max reps. And I personally don't agree with that. I know Trey is phenomenal at Atlas Stone for reps, but I think Tom is pushing the boundaries of what we thought was humanly possible for stones. And we just can't really say that for Trey, as impressive as he is. So my top 2 are Tom Stoltman and Trey Mitchell, with my secondary prediction being Evan Singleton and Tom Stoltman. I want Trey to make it to the final. I like him. I think he's super talented, but I think it's just too tricky of a heat for him if he has to go up against Tom. So while I think he's likely to make it through, I don't think it's a guaranteed thing.